What we do here is go back.
Today I'm with Isa and Pat and kumakain sila. We're having our lunch break because today is the day that we're going to meet. Not really meet, pero we're gonna see face to face and we're gonna hear Gary Vee live here in Manila. And it's what I believe is, and what I know is, it's the first time of Gary Vee here in Manila, so here in the Philippines. So we are all very excited. Filipinos are very excited for it. So balik na kami ng SMX convention.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. There's a lot of different things I want to cover. I'm super excited about the format. I hear we're going to be doing the VIP Q&A up here, which I'm super excited about. So I'm looking forward to that part. For me, it's been a pretty exciting last couple days as I've toured through Asia. I've given a couple speeches and a bunch of different themes are popping up. And I think in general, I'm spending a lot of time trying to figure out how do I bring the most value to a conference? What's going through the mindset of the individuals? Why are you even here on a Sunday afternoon? What can I bring value in a world where so much of the content that I'm putting out is widely free? Like, what's this about? Obviously, it's fun to do it live and it's fun for me to visit the region and I'm very humbled to be here. But I think for me, I'm trying to think about the take-homes and it's really interesting. I have a speaker coming out tomorrow in the States called Clouds and Dirt. It's the first video that D-Rock made for me. Let's hear it up for D-Rock. So, the first video we ever made was called Clouds and Dirt. And the reason we did that, I think it's important because if you think about it, it's no different than the first issue of a comic book. You're establishing the origin story, and I think when I think about my career, and more importantly, let's take me out of the equation, when I look at the people that are winning, and when I say winning, I think the biggest issue we have right now is how we define winning. I think way too many people are defining winning based on how many followers somebody has, how much money somebody has, what things somebody has. And for me, I realize as I'm going through this process, it's unbelievable how much to me the happiness factors into winning. Like, what am I? Are you happy? Like, you know, by many standards, there's so many different people that may be winning or losing based on your singular judgment, but the the reality is you have no idea what's really happening within their mindset and what's happening in their home. You're looking at the outside facade. And I think as this world continues to grow, we've become incredibly adept at making us look a certain way in our social media versus what's really happening in our head. And that's something we've always done. We've always bought homes that were too big, cars that were too much, clothes that was too much, because we are unbelievably interested in other people's opinions about us versus our own opinions about ourselves. And so when I think about why the first film we ever made was called Clouds and Dirt, it's because it's my basic thesis in life. And definitely the reason I'm successful in business has a lot to do with clouds and dirt, because it's about the macro and the micro. It's about the strategy, the why. To me, what really makes me contemporary right now and why this is a growing audience and where my business success is coming from two reasons. One, I've been right about what the world was going to do, and I mapped strategies that played out, that worked. My macro thesis was right. It was very simple. It wasn't super complicated. 10 years ago, I decided that this device was way more important than most people thought it was, and I decided whoever won on this device, whoever controlled the home screen, whether that was email or text messaging or social networks, whoever won that, the people that won on top of that, 3 layers: the internet, the platforms on top of the internet, and then the people that know how to use the platforms on top of the internet were going to be the winners. The internet was going to win. The platforms, Facebook, YouTube, they were going to win. And then the people that knew how to execute next, the vloggers, the personalities, and the startups that knew how to make content with it. It was a very simple thesis. I executed against it. But that's only one part of it. The other part of my macro was not just my strategy of business, it was that I figured myself out at a very young age that the game itself was what I loved. And I'll be very frank, it saddens me that so many people in the audience's KPI is figuring out a way to max out money so that they can then deploy that money to buy things that they will make them happy. The reason that makes me sad is I've just seen it not work out time and time again. People think it's the money that makes them happy or the thing they can buy with the money, and the reality is it just doesn't play out. And so for me, the macro was not only was I right about where the attention of every person was going to end up and then execute within it, I knew that building it and eating shit was going to make me happy. I recognize that eating the dirt is the thing that makes me most happy, which means I'll never be upset. Everybody's in a rush. You know, how many people here, raise your hands, have heard me talk about patience? Raise your hands. Woo. Great. So, I've had a very interesting epiphany, to be very frank with you. I didn't realize that I loved patience so much and pushing so much because I loved the process. Of course I love patience. I never want to stop. As a matter of fact, on the way here, I was saying to somebody, I used the word, I was like, I'm just foreplaying my business career because I never want it to end. I always want to work. I have no interest in ever retiring. I don't want to buy a fucking island. I don't want to sell VaynerMedia, right? Even my business goals of buying the jets, the second I buy them, it's going to be fucking hard to win a fucking Super Bowl, right? I love the process. I want the process. You need to figure out what your process is. Because to be successful, you have to understand what's so amazing about the internet. Why does every 15 to 20-year-old want to be an influencer? Because they can. Let me just say it really quickly. Why does every 15 to 20-year-old want to be an influencer? Because they can. You can make $50,000 a year. You can make $100,000 a year just being you, having brands subsidize your life or selling t-shirts or whatever it may be. The reason most teenagers in the world want to be a KOL or an influencer is because it's practical. Here's the problem with it. Everybody can do it. It's a supply and demand issue. Everybody can start an Instagram and YouTube account tomorrow, which by virtue means everybody can, which means you're competing with everybody, which means you have to be good. This is a very important point because the reality is to actually work hard enough to be good enough versus the next person, you're going to have to put in so many hours in the game. And the only way to put in the hours to differentiate is to put in the hours. We look for so many angles. I am fascinated by how many people are looking for the angle. There are people like, Gary, I hear all your stuff, but like, whether they meet me in a conference like this in Q&A, or on the street, or in a business meeting, they're like, yeah, but just give me the one thing. My friends, there's no one thing. They're like, but the hack, like, do you really think there's some magical fucking hashtag out there that's gonna blow up your fucking account? Like, do you really think that's how it works? I'm just completely fascinated by everybody's lack of patience and lack of process. And so really my macro, I'm starting, listen, I'm really excited because I promise you this, and you'll see in my content for the next 5 to 7 years, I will reference this trip and this speech because I'm starting to realize, calm down. This still might fuck it up, so let's relax. 35 minutes and 13 seconds, let's relax. But I realize that I'm starting to put the pieces together that the macro is not just having the right business strategy. Let me give you a macro. Voice is going to win. Yeah. Alexa and Google and Apple are going to build voice devices. Everybody in this room over the next 10 years is going to gravitate towards voice devices. Apps are going to be built on top of the voice devices, and the next Spotify, and the next SoundCloud, and the next YouTube, and the next Facebook, the next trillion-dollar companies will be voice apps. It will be a huge industry. Everybody here should go home and read 10 hours a fucking week about voice apps, voice devices. Everybody here should go buy an Alexa. You should absolutely have one. Work with your fucking Siri that fucking sucks today, but gets better. Voice will win. I'm giving you the macro strategy. Voice will win. Put it in the bank. D-Rock's filming somewhere. It's done. There's plenty of cameras here. Voice will win. That's done. It's gonna happen. Now what? Every day I get emails from people like, oh Gary, this sucks. Like, I had the idea for Uber before it happened. Who gives a fuck about your idea? Do you know why nobody talks about copyright and patents anymore like they used to 15 years ago? Because they don't mean shit.
Yeah.
The game is about execution. The reason most of you don't execute is because other people's opinions about you matter more than your own about yourself. No shit, you can't work and put out as much content. You're worried about other people's opinions. You literally stopped posting more content on social media because one random account named DutyFace47 said that you were ugly or stupid, and that stopped you. My friends, you have to get your macro right. You have to know where the world's going or where you think it's going. You have to know what you can do about it. Cool, so now I just said voice is gonna win. What just went through all 2,000 people's heads? Did you say, and take a step back, I'm gonna become an investor and I'm gonna invest in next Facebook or Twitter on voice? Is that your move? Did you take a step back and say, you know what? I've been thinking about doing a podcast. Let me make a voice app along with that podcast and try to win there. Did you take a step back and say you're going to start advertising on voice apps when they first come out to sell your t-shirts or your course or your real estate? Like what did you decide when you heard voice was going to win? But most of all, you've got to be in a good enough place to execute and win. And you've got to understand it's about pattern recognition. For me, whether it was baseball cards or lemonade stands or the liquor store, my career has been basically the same. If I was standing here in 1996 when I launched WineLibrary.com, I would tell you that the internet was going to win. For all the youngsters in here, a lot of people thought the internet was a fad, that it wasn't going to be a big thing. Next, it was going to be email. Then it was going to be Google AdWords. Then it was going to be YouTube. Then it was going to be social media. It's all been the same thing. It will always be the same thing. Before I was in the business world, it was television, cable. Before that, network television. Before that, radio. Before that, newspapers. This is not very complicated. This is very simple. Communication is how people make decisions. You want to sell something, you need somebody's attention. Then you tell them. You tell them through words, you tell them through audio, you tell them through video. My friends, this is fucking simple. This is fucking simple ass shit. Don't get it confused. This is simple as fuck. The phone has won. If you do not have content on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you don't exist. Do you understand? You don't fucking exist. If you're not putting out something today, somebody else is. You're losing market share. I don't give a fuck how much money you're making and how good you're doing. You are not standing still. Either you're moving forward and you're moving backwards. It's as simple as that. So if you're not posting 5, 7, 15, 30 pieces of content a day on these platforms, you're going backwards because tons of people are. It's that simple. The question I have is, why the fuck aren't you doing it? How many people here have been watching my content for more than a year? Raise your hand. Thanks. The problem is, if you're a year plus in, like half this room is, and you're not posting 20, 30 pieces of content a day, regardless of what your job is, regardless of what's going on, you're just hearing me, you're not executing. You can read about push-ups. If you don't do them, nothing happens. And so, what's really important to me is, I'm mainly interested in legacy. And my legacy is at the mercy of you. See, most people like that you don't do anything. You know why? Because you keep giving them money. Most people like that you don't do anything. Because you keep giving them money. The reason you keep giving them money for courses and things of that nature, books and events, is because it makes you feel like you're doing something. Paying for information and doing nothing with it is being a fucking sucker. So, it's true. And so for me, I'm trying to figure out how the fuck to get you to do shit. My concept of fucking pounding it in your head for free every day, 7 days a week, on every platform, in every format, is working to some degree. The problem is, it's not working for most. And so I sit here today, in this room with you, desperately trying to figure out why. And every day that goes by, the more and more, it's getting very clear to me why you're not. It's getting clear to me that you are valuing somebody's opinion more than you're valuing your own. You actually are worried about what your parents think. You're worried about what your siblings think, your girlfriend thinks, your buddies think, the world thinks. You've allowed outside voices to be more powerful than your own. And it will always dominate you for the rest of time. And I can give you unlimited fucking tactics. I can give you the fucking money, and you're gonna fucking lose. So please, if you allow me, if it took being in person together, you have to figure out whose voice is louder and figure out what they're up to. Why are they giving you that advice? A lot of times they think they're giving you advice that's good. They think they're doing the right thing. But my friends, this is a mental game. This is a mental warfare. This is absolutely that. Because the reality is, actually, you know what? This is a fair question. And honestly, we're here, so please be honest. By show of hands, how many people are not in the professional place they'd like to be? Raise your hands. Raise it high. High. Don't lie. High. High. Stand up. Stand up if you're not in a professional place that you want to be. Do it. I'm going to wait. There's nothing embarrassing. I'm standing. So own it. Don't be full of shit. Don't try to act cool because you're sitting and it makes it look like that you're good. Stand if you are not in the professional place that you want to be. Cool? Everybody who's standing, I have something that you need to hear and I should listen very carefully. This right now, the last 10 years of the global economy and how much money is in it, and this because of the internet and the devices, has made the last 2, 3, 4 years the easiest time in the history of business to be successful. Right now, we are living dead smack. Right now, dead smack in the easiest time in the last 300 to 400 years to make money and be professionally happy. If you're fucking standing, we need to figure this the fuck out. Because if you're not winning right now, you're in deep fucking shit when shit hits the fan. So if you are standing, you need to figure out why that is. And I promise you, it is not because it's hard. It's because you haven't figured out the right macro. Either your mindset of what's getting you can sit down, thank you so much. Either the mindset or what to do. The lack of self-awareness is enormous in the system right now. And so for me, the way you figure shit out, the way you figure yourself out is you try shit. You try shit. I used to think it was super basic. I would stand up here over the last decade and say, try shit. And I just wouldn't understand why people wouldn't. And it keeps getting me back to the same place, the judgment. And look, I have a very specific agenda in Asia over the next decade. It is to change the conversation of the way kids are parented in Asia. I have one agenda. There is a global issue across the world, from the United States to Europe, to Australia, to South America, that over-indexes in Asia, which is that parents are fucking up. And they're fucking up because they care about what other parents think about their kids. They want you to be a fucking lawyer and doctor because that seems cool to their old friends. It is amen. Here's the problem. You're fucking up too. Because you're taking their money. And you are acting like you're not. And so we have a very intriguing moment in time. Really intriguing. And I'm trying to really hack it. Because here's the part that I'm most passionate about. I always say, don't listen to what I'm saying, watch what I do. I've been producing content for 10 years. I was unbelievably quiet in 2014, 15, 2013, right? Building Vaynermedia, I was quiet. I wasn't putting out a lot of content. There was a specific reason. I wasn't passionate about saying anything, right? I did for 11 years of my career. I wrote Crush It. I came out, I was like, hey, this shit is real. Like this, you know, if you go read Crush It right now, it was written in 2008. It's ridiculous how much that played out in personal brand. It's the whole fuck. It's why I wrote Crushing It, because I was like, fuck, it's still happening. And a lot of people are winning, and it's fun to be here. I mean, like, one of the most interesting things about the Philippines is how remarkably underpriced the ads are on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. How many of the influencers are doing incredible work here, yet there's not as much money coming into them, so you could take advantage of it. Everything I believe in and you hear me talking about is a better deal in the Philippines than it is in the US. It is a better deal in Southeast Asia. There's a reason I want to open an office in Southeast Asia for Vaynermedia. It's because it's better here. I love when people cry when they're not bigger markets. They're like, oh, you know, we only have 30 million people, we only have 10 million people, we only have 4 million people, we only have 4. It's easier. America's the big leagues. There's a lot of people doing it there. 300 million gets spread out against a lot of people. There's more abundance in Southeast Asia right now for this execution than almost any other part of the world. And so, to me, we have a remarkable time, and the reason I want to be out here talking about this now is, and I mean this, everything I believe in is about to go away. Let me explain why I'm so passionate about this. It's early and it's underpriced. Think of it as real estate. Beachfront property of places that get hot are a good deal when they first become available. And over time, they get properly priced. Over the next decade, Facebook and Instagram ads are going to go from $3, $4, $5, $6, $7 CPMs to $20, $30, $40, $50 CPMs. At the same time, people's usage is going to change. You're going to start not converting as well in the feed. So right now, I can get in front of all of you on Facebook for $6, $7, and $8 to get in front of 1,000 of you, and 100 of you are going to do something with it. And literally, in 48 months, it's going to cost me $53 to get in front of 1,000 of you, but only 20 of you are going to do something with it. That is very basic math. This is historic. This is exactly what happened with Google. How many people here were doing Google AdWords marketing in 2002, 3, 4? Raise your hand. Remember? For the 6 of us that just raised our hands, all of us, we fucked up. We should have spent more money. Right? Every time there's a deal, you regret not buying a lot. Think about every good business thing you've ever done. If I take you in a time machine and tell you what would you do, you would have bought more. You would have done more. That's exactly what's happening right now with Facebook and Instagram, and it's happening right in front of your face. And so I'm desperate to talk about it because it's right there. And it's going away quick. And let me tell you why it's going to go away. Because BMW and Coca-Cola and Mercedes-Benz are spending their money on dumb shit right now. They're buying television commercials, they're buying billboards, they're buying print ads, they're buying banner ads on websites. I haven't even owned a computer in 4 fucking years. Like, banner ads on websites in a mobile-only world. When they realize that, and their money goes into Facebook and Instagram for real, not the bullshit money they're putting in now, all these prices will go up. So I implore you to take a step back and understand the moment in time that we have right now. And ask yourselves, why? Why are you not doing more of this single thing? And the interesting thing is, I'm most worried about both the clouds and the dirt. The people that are most winning in this room. Who's having the best year of their professional career? Raise your hand. Good. You scare me even more than the people that were fucking standing. The reason you're not doing all of this as hard as you can is because you are having the best year, and whatever's doing that is what you're focused on, not this ridiculously underpriced thing. Every day, I sit with companies that say to me, Gary, I get all this, but we're up 9% doing television. Our business is up 9%. And I look at them and I say, Rick, what's wrong with 35%? There are 2 things that are always scary to me. Having way too little and having way too much. To the world. Are you video? Are you audio? Are you written word? Everybody here, if you do not produce content for the internet, you might as well get up and leave, because that means you fucking are finished. This is no longer 2007. You can't debate this anymore. If you do not produce content for the internet, you do not exist. So if you believe that, or finally accepted it, how do you communicate? How do you create content to the internet? Is it written word? Is it audio? Is it video? How many people here listen to podcasts? Any of them? Raise your hand. Raise it high. I want everybody in the front to look around. Raise it high. Keep it high. This is a remarkable amount of hands. Thank you so much. If I asked this question 3 years ago, 80% of the hands that are up would be down. For me, podcasting is remarkable. I genuinely think more than half of this room should have a podcast. It takes no engineers. There's an app called Anchor. I'm not associated with it at all, but some of you see me promote it. I just think it's a good thing. It's fucking free. You record it on your phone as if you're on the phone. You don't need any infrastructure, no sound engineer. You press 3 buttons and you are in the podcast business. Written word. Here's a dirty little secret, and I'm being a little more tactical, which makes me happy, so take advantage of it because it's rare. Long-form copy on Facebook and Instagram work. Post them. Everybody spends so much time worried about the picture, and they fucking mail in the words. everybody here on Instagram is trying to grow because it's completely one, right? And everybody's fucking triple filter. I mean, there's people literally spend like 12 minutes filtering their fucking photo.
Yeah.
And there's, and then if you're a personal brand and a human, I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, the only thing that I'm sure that Instagram taught me is somehow every fucking person's attractive. Every single person is spending so much time on the photo. And don't forget, a lot of you are trying to position yourself as a business person. So please understand that one of the huge white spaces on Facebook and Instagram is writing a ton of shit. It works. Take that with you. As a matter of fact, back to LinkedIn, I don't know if you felt this. What's been really interesting about LinkedIn, and it goes against kind of my natural state, just the written stuff. And I mean like, literally, and you see what I do on Instagram with the pictures and stuff like that, that works on Instagram. On LinkedIn, if I put that same picture with a quote versus just writing the copy will destroy it on LinkedIn. So these are the nuances and the tactics that so many people ask me for. The reason I don't get excited about them is they're very easy to see. I keep telling you, just watch what I'm doing. If you went to my LinkedIn and see that there's a bunch of written copy there, I do nothing for my health. I do nothing for kicks and giggles. This is all being fucking thought about. I don't do a podcast 7 days a week because I think it's funny. I do it because it works. I do it because audio is important. My friends, I put out a couple of months ago, maybe a year ago, a strategy called the $80 strategy on Instagram. What it was go to 90 people and leave.
Please say, because ladies and gentlemen, 45 minutes is not enough with Gary Vee. True or true? Please, everyone, sit down. We still have something for you. In the next few minutes, we are opening the floor to something very special. All right? This was supposed to be a private session with Gary Vee, but the organizers and Gary decided to be so generous. They are going to open the Q&A for everyone to. Yes, very good. For everyone to listen, but the people who will get to ask questions are the people in front. VIP and Solitaire, you are going to be asking your very well thought out question.
Or shade.
Or shade. Okay, we'll take shitty questions anytime. We have 2 mic stations, one on this side and the other one on this side. If you have a smart question, just cue for the Q&A. And please take note, no long life stories. So Gary, when I was a little boy, no? Please go straight to the question, and please, you don't have to say, Gary, we love you, so I can follow you. We already know that. So go straight to the question so that more people can ask. Good? Thank you, Gary.
Yep. Great. My friend. Okay.
All right. Okay. First question. I have a couple.
Sure.
So, why haven't you been on Shark Tank yet?
Because I said no.
Oh, they offered it to you.
They sure did.
Oh, that's awesome. Why? Why did you say no?
Because I tend not to when I think about my brand, I like doing things where I'll get the credit, not the platform. Right? So, I'm just doing Shark Tank now, and Shark Tank's an incredible show. I'm a fan. I love that young kids watch it. I think it's positive. I'm a big fan of Shark Tank. The reason I decided not to do it is, at this point, it's a mature brand, right? And I'm going into somebody else's house. And I can't, it's not going anywhere higher. It's on the decline. So I think of Shark Tank the way I think about American Idol, right? What I'm spending my time on, and why I switched from CAA to William Morris recently, is while Shark Tank's doing what it's doing, and I think it's American Idol, I'm trying to develop something that can become like The Voice, right? Like I want to make the business show where I'm the face of that disrupts Shark Tank, not be season 11 Shark Tank Gary.
Alright, did your guest on Joe Rogan's podcast when you were there the first time, did it force you to get into shape?
No, Rogan's?
Yeah, Rogan's.
I don't know if it was a bad angle, but I was already in shape when I went in. version of why I figured out getting into shape. I was 38 years old and I was not in good physical shape. And I knew it was a good idea to live longer, to be in better shape, but I couldn't fucking figure out the angle. And literally on a plane, it hit me that I'm not good when I'm accountable to myself. I'm great when I'm accountable to others. I like doing for others, that's my selfish move. I'm a good boss, I'm a good leader, I'm good with my community. So I realized if I hired somebody full-time that became part of the team, I wouldn't want to let him down. And I literally figured out my health by doing something rogue. And so no, Rogan didn't inspire me to get it.
Alright, you predicted the fall of Toys R Us.
Yes.
How the fuck did you do that?
Because it's the same reason that I know that everything I just talked about is right for 80% of this audience. It's just in the math.
Okay.
They were not doing anything right? They were not winning online. They were not average. They would spend more money on doing flyers than on social media.
Right.
And I knew that the toy business was moving into a place of direct-to-consumer.
Okay.
If you have a child globally, you know that they live on YouTube Kids. And if you look at why slime or Shopkins or any of these trends happen, they happen at YouTube Kids, and then they go direct to consumer. Between people selling directly on Instagram, Walmart and Costco, and Amazon, there was no place for Toys R Us.
Sure. Alright, I'm gonna ask about, last question. I'm gonna ask about two people. One is a foreign celebrity, one is a local celebrity. You know both of them. What was the interaction like with the greatest Instagrammer of all time, The Rock?
That was super fun because The Rock is so willing to still live in the dirt, even though he's floating in the clouds at all times. So it was, when you meet people, you're always curious, how are they, right? Are they similar to this, that, and the other thing? I think The Rock is ambitious as fuck, and that excites me.
What was the interaction like with Bill Dasovich?
So I love Will because Will is super humbling for me because he was so inspired by the content that I brought up, and obviously he had a very unique life story of adversity that led him to where he is today. The utter kindness and good inside of Will's body is ridiculously inspiring, and if you don't know who he is, you should really pay attention.
Alright, one last. Your most viral post ever, at least for me, the one that really hit me the most, is not giving a fuck about what other people think.
Yes.
Do you could you say it again? Because I think it moved a lot of people. And
it was the whole fucking keynote I just gave. And to your point, it is the answer. Literally, if you are unhappy in this room, or not as happy as you could be, it is 90% likely that you're upset with your mom or dad. When I say don't give a fuck about what people think, it's easy for you to not give a fuck about what he thinks. I'm talking about the people, I'm talking about the people closest to you. You've got a problem with the people closest to you. To get into I sit in life right now where I don't give a fuck about what my mom, my dad, and my wife say. I respect them tremendously. I care tremendously. But at its core, it's gotten very quiet for me, which is why I'm so happy.
Thanks so much for coming to Manila. Thank you so much.
Way eager to ask you this question.
Thank you.
I want to fast forward 300 years from now.
Okay.
And how the world
300 years.
Yes.
So I believe that you won't be remembered as a speaker, author, entrepreneur. I believe you'll be remembered as the 21st century philosopher.
Yes.
And I just wanted, my question is, of all your philosophies, what do you think will be the philosophy that will be still talked about 300 years from now?
Probably, especially how I think the next 100 years work out, that kindness and gratitude and good is always just a little bit stronger than fear and hate and negativity.
That's Gary Vee.
Yes.
This is something that's going to hugely impact your generation of followers, especially here in the Philippines.
Thank you. I think, and it's interesting because it's bubbling up, and I've been louder about it. I agree with you that if I had a bet, and obviously I know what's going on in my head and my actions, in the same way that don't give a fuck, or there was a video I made about, for 40 to 60-year-olds, which is like, how many people here are over 40? Raise your hands. Such an interesting crowd for me.
Over 40.
We just have so much more time, right? We just have so much more time. This parenting conversation is probably going to change the course of my life because it's deep as fuck, it's true as fuck, and nobody wants to talk about it.
Yep.
Nobody wants to talk about it. And no question, now that I'm getting closer to talk about it, I promise you, I'm not in Asia for kicks and giggles. It needs to be talked about in this region yesterday. Thank you. Okay. You don't want to talk about 300 years from now?
No, we're here now.
300 years.
You were a direct-to-consumer beauty brand.
Yes.
And you were launching in 6 months.
Yes.
What would be 3 strategies you focus on?
Are you building on top of Shopify? That's good. I would spend all my time and energy on Facebook and Instagram. Dude, it's so black and white. If you were to start a direct-to-consumer business in any category, and you just stay disciplined in being a practitioner on Facebook and Instagram, you will get to $5 million revenue in 20 seconds, a year, 18 months, if you're average. It's literally that true. It's that underpriced. It's early Google. To me, that's number one.
And when that cost of advertising goes 10x,
You'll deal with it then.
where do you shift your focus to?
Who the fuck knows? Right? And it's interesting, right? Because you said, hey, I want to talk about now. Cool. So let's not talk about 300 years from now. Let's not even talk about 31 months from now. If you're launching shortly, you've got a minimum of 2 to 3 years. It's going to take too much money too fast to actually fuck with the pricing, so it's not going to happen.
Where do you see Amazon sitting within that strategy?
I think you should be on Amazon as well and not fear that it cannibalizes your margin. You should use it as a brand building exercise, and you should Amazon optimize and be very careful to work Amazon and Shopify carefully. Use Amazon. I always think fuck Amazon before it fucks you. Right?
Yeah.
So build brand in Amazon, which means you use sales. But when you're engaging with those customers and the first party data, start creating rationale for them to not. And that's hard because Amazon's convenient as fuck.
Correct.
But certain packs, certain experiences, always find reasons to buy on you versus there. But I would be on Amazon because Amazon's grossly underpriced as well. Got it? It's the path of the two. Everyone thinks it's one or the other. I think it's both. Yeah. Influencers, man. Influencers are fucking crazy underpriced. It's not scalable because you have to DM them all day long. But like, attractive people on Instagram is fucking money.
And so what layer of influencers do you think are still affordable?
All of them. I see people who are like macro influencers who have 13 million followers who want 50,000 posts, but it's worth 300,000. And I see micro influencers who have 4,000 followers who want $100 a post that are worth $400, and they're both good.
So you think it's still worth spending money on influencers?
100,000%, especially in the beauty supply space. Yeah, you got it.
I'm Sean, from Australia, who I here to assist.
Thank you.
First question, I come to Australia.
Putragis ni mga Pilipino yung nagtanong ah.
I'm actually coming the week of October 17th, and I'm going to be speaking in 4 cities. And so you probably didn't have to come here.
Second question, so I own a few gyms in Australia, so most of my content is on Instagram.
Yes.
I want to sort of ask you what your difference is between obviously story, the IGTV, and posting just on your timeline. So if you're going to post something on your story, you're going to put it on your timeline too, and on IGTV.
I would think about it smarter than that. I would have pillars for IG. If you look at me, right? Look what I'm doing versus what I say. If if you look what I'm doing with stories, in stories I'm doing a lot of call to actions, a lot of swipe ups. Then I'm doing a lot of things that are valuable for people, right? That's where I'm doing screensavers and different things of that nature. IG, the main platform, I'm putting out consistent content, kind of what I would call my main stuff, but it's pure content. There is no right hooks in there. It's all content for the masses. And IGTV we're just starting with, but we're producing original content just for it. So I would have a different strategy for all three layers, because if it becomes redundant, people are going to start realizing that and tuning out for 2 out of the 3, which is giving away some of the tools that you could be using.
Now, most of my content is obviously fitness based.
Yes.
But I want to get a lot more personal with my crowd, so I want to introduce my family.
So that's where maybe you do a vlog on IGTV while on the stories and the main. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
You should also be on YouTube. As a gym, you should be on YouTube, and as a gym, you should probably start a podcast.
Okay.
Great. Awesome.
Clara, is it okay to be spiritual or
Yes,
philosophical?
of course.
All right. What's that one thing in life that you are most certain of?
The most certain
of.
that doing the right thing is always the right thing. 100%. Because doing the right thing usually means you have to give up something in the short term. And that is so difficult for many. They don't want to give up the money in the short term. They don't like feeling. You know how many people here lose in life because they hate the feeling of somebody else getting something over on them? They're incapable of being the bigger person. Doing the right thing is always the right thing.
And last question. What makes a thought leader a mover or a shaker for you?
Somebody who's talking the truth. The biggest reason I disrespect 95% of the people that most people respect is because I know they're not telling the truth.
Hi Gary.
How are you?
Good. Thank you. How are you? So excited that you're here. Thank you for coming to Manila.
I'm so happy to be here.
My question is, if you would live up to 100-year-old,
Which I plan on. By the way, that's very serious fact. Us 40-year-olds, like just very basic. If I'm not deep in the medical space, but I've been flirting because as you get older, you start giving a shit. It's a layup if you're under 55 that you're going to live to 105, 110, and like pretty healthy and happy to about 95. So I'm planning on living to 100. So go ahead. You're probably going to live to 125.
oh, thank you. I'm not planning to actually.
Okay, here.
What advice would you give to 100-year-old Gary Vee and vice versa? What advice would the 100-year-old Gary Vee give to the present Gary Vee?
So, the reason I think I'm so happy and so much is happening with me right now is because the way I'm wired, this is my perfect time. I'm an optimist. So when you're optimistic, it's really just easy. Like, I genuinely believe everything is going to be okay and is good, and I find the good. A lot of that has to do with having more time. The biggest fear I have is that when I get into my 80s, 90s, 100, that I'll start becoming resentful. I was happy because I give so much. As I start running out of time, I could potentially regret on not taking whatever maybe at that point I don't feel like I got enough of. So if I'm giving right now the advice to the 100-year-old Gary, it would be less of an advice. It would be me saying, hey 100-year-old Gary, like, don't be pissed at me, but I'm doing the best that I can, right? And it's a very important point. I genuinely think that people are always trying to figure what I'm up to, and the punchline is, I'll be less good when I get older, when time is running out. I mean that. I can see it. I can be self-aware. I see it. I hope not. Sometimes why I wish for a quick sudden death at 88, so I have to go through that period, because I know that's my vulnerability. As far as the 100-year-old giving me advice, I'd like to think that he'd be looking down and saying, just keep doing exactly what you're doing.
I have 3 questions.
Go ahead.
First question is, do you have any plan to selling your sneakers here in the Philippines?
Do I have any plans on selling what?
Your sneakers.
Here in the Philippines.
Yeah! Sneak.
I don't think this one. So the 003, the first 2 were just in the US. The 003 is far more global. There is some 8 ways to get it in Asia. It is available in Australia. Like Monday, I find out exactly where it is. But for the 004, we think we're going to be able to cover the whole world, and that will be in November.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
What are you making it up on the spot? You know, my favorite part is you literally said you had 3 questions.
Second question.
Yes.
To everyone on the medical and dental field.
Okay.
Is there any way to like promote on Facebook or Instagram without scare off the customers? Because
I think so.
in our Filipino culture, if you're a parent and
Yes.
we have rowdy kids,
Yes.
you usually tell them if you don't shut up, I'm gonna bring you to the dentist.
Yeah.
I'm a dentist.
I get it. Absolutely. You know, it's really interesting. I actually think in crushing it, you know, because that we actually feature a dentist in the book, if I recall properly, I think there's a huge way to do it. And the beauty of Facebook ads is you can run them against different demos and understand them. I think you need to put out informational content, but I think there's an absolute way. I don't think you're going to convince kids who are scared of the dentist to go, but I definitely think that you can win 35 to 65 with information.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Last question.
Yes.
I know you're an immigrant. I'm also an immigrant.
Yes.
There used to be a time in the Philippines where there are a lot of people coming to the Philippines.
Yes.
For pastures. But now there's like millions of Filipinos leaving the Philippines.
Yes.
Looking for greener pastures and of course to make money.
Yes.
To make ends meet. But now there's so many job opportunities in e-commerce.
Yes.
YouTube, Facebook. Is there any way to like tell them to like, hey, you can actually come back to the Philippines? You can actually earn here. Why? Because there are so many Filipinos going abroad, leaving their families.
I see. Great moment. Look, I think, sure, you're more than welcome to make videos on the side while being a dentist, educating people about this amazing opportunity and running ads on Facebook and that. The answer is yes, there's opportunity to do it. The question becomes, who wants to do it? Do you know what I mean? Like for me, for some reason, nobody's wanted to talk about the truth about parenting, so I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. So the answer is, of course there's opportunity. The question is, who's going to do it and why?
Thank you very much.
You got it.
I'm good, thank you.
I'm going to do speed round for 2 minutes. I understand.
May flight pa daw siya.
Go fast.
Questions for you. My first question is, should I try to build a business in an area that is my weakness, or should I just focus on my strengths?
Strength. All strengths.
And my second question is, what is your deepest why? The reason why you keep doing what you're doing?
Because I was parented so well that I am so grateful and I feel guilty. I'm trying to do it for you too.
Just wondering where.
Every day. It's not something that happens sometimes. It's something that you do every day. That's what leadership is all about, and that's what success is all about. So I look forward to seeing you at Wealth, Wisdom, and Winning.
Thank you so much, John. Rajiv.
If you're not willing to learn, nothing can help you, and if you're willing to learn, nothing can stop you.
Thank you, Peng Joon.
I think that one of the things that's really helped me a lot is understanding that one day, whether we are ready or not, it's all gonna come to an end. And all of the things that we feel is important, all of our dreams, our ambitions, our to-do lists, our fear of failure, our fear of embarrassment, all of that will be irrelevant. And at the end of it all, what we'll realize and what is actually important is not what we bought, but what we built. We'll realize that what is important is not how many friends we had on Facebook, but the memory of us in someone else's mind. And what if that was the only thing we'll actually leave behind? I hope that being here today has given you the hunger, the inspiration, and the motivation to want it all in life, to buy the Lambos, but also the wisdom to know that none of it really matters. Thank you, Manila.
Thank you, Peng Joon. Sandy.
Just have a very simple philosophy. Just create very simple habits. One of the simplest habits to have is when you wake up in the morning, make sure your bed is perfectly made. Because no matter how bad your day is, when you come home at night and you put your head down in that perfectly made bed, you'll have a perfect dream. Simple.
Thank you so much. And last but not the least, Gary Vee.
Super interesting about that was I've never made my bed in my life. and I think I'll use that as a platform, which is this. People win when they're self-aware. Some want to make their bed, some don't. Some have this strength and some have that weakness. You need to figure out who you are and you need to execute against that. You have to love the process, not the stuff that the process buys you.
Amen.
Thank you so much. And before we end, we're not actually going to end. We need a group fee. You know what a group fee is?
Yep.
That means with the entire audience, everyone, turn your back to the audience. And this is this. Sandy will be our photographer. Okay. There's a joke. Compress, everyone. We need to see the audience in the back. Everyone give her a loud Manila cheer. 1, 2, 3, and... In every NEC, we are going to end with a song, and this is what is very special about this song. This NEC will sing a song that is sung by...
Man, how do you feel about it, man?
Awesome.
Awesome. How about you, Pat? Pat, how do you feel right now, Pat? Happy.
Yeah,
Happy.
That's so enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic. I can feel the fire and the excitement, you know?
I wanna go home. I miss my husband.
Oh, she missed her husband. So that's a wrap, guys. So we've done with. We're done for today, and we'll see you soon. All right.